Salam Ashraf. The Prime Minister of the fledgling democratic Iraq made clear about 5 or 6 weeks ago that unless the residents of Camp Ashraf, defenseless refugees protected under humanitarian law, unless they agreed to be moved to the deserts of the south, as Masood has just said, then there would be a repetition of the violence used against them at the end of July, no later than today. Happily, that has not happened yet. In a bizarre attempt at public relations, the Iraqi government invited media correspondents to assemble at a place in Baghdad where coaches would take them to Ashraf to watch this so-called humanitarian move. I say now to Prime Minister Maliki of Iraq, just be very careful what you do, because the democracy which you claim you are trying to build is on test over what you do about these defenseless refugees at Camp Ashraf. You must learn, Mr. Maliki, that one of the tests of a truly democratic government is the way it honours its international obligations and undertakings, irrespective of your judgment on those protected under them. Nobody's asking you to love the PMOI, but what we do insist upon and demand is that you respect their rights under international humanitarian law. That's what it's all about. Repeatedly, you and other spokesmen have given both written and verbal guarantees to various bodies to do with the United Nations and others that you will respect those rights and ensure the safety and security of those at Ashraf. I must tell you frankly that those are lies, and you have breached every single one of the undertakings which you have given. At the end of July, Iraqi thugs in military uniforms went to Ashraf on the excuse of opening a police station. It was an excuse because buildings in Ashraf built by the PMOI were given over to Iraqi forces to open a police station. And you may remember, I think it was in April of this year, that the Iraqi police individually and privately interviewed every single resident of Ashraf to check upon who they were and to check upon whether they wished to stay in the camp or whether they wanted to go to some third country. So they knew exactly who was in the camp and what they're up to, but more importantly, they knew that there were no arms in that camp. I have had the most amazing letter from the Iraqi embassy in London. It's unsigned, it's undated, it purports to be a statement from the closure committee of the new Iraq camp. This is what they call Ashraf. I might just say that with 5 bombs exploding last week in Baghdad and another 5 going off this morning, one might have thought that Mr. Maliki and his administration had got enough on their plate without picking a fight with these defenseless refugees. I just want to take you through 2 or 3 bits. It starts off claiming the full sovereignty and the Iraq's right to exert it all over its territory. It then says, and this is a new one, that the reason they want the police station is not for security reasons, but it is to ensure that they can take over the services which the camp needs. Water, electricity, the hospital, and so on, and the food supplies. I've got news for you, Mr. Maliki. On your instructions, since I think it's December the 7th, Camp Ashraf has been under siege. Food lorries have been forbidden to go in there. Doctors, nurses and medical supplies have been stopped going in there. Don't you know this? You seem to have plenty of time on your hands. You should know these things. It's a blatant lie, of course, and this is preparing the ground for what there is still huge and immediate risk of, and that is another massacre in the deserts around Ashraf. Now, why is this being done? Why is this being done? And why doesn't the embassy acknowledge this? This is being done because in February of this year, there was an agreement between the leadership in Iran and the leadership in Iraq that Camp Ashraf would be forcibly closed and residents there would be deported. That was the agreement, and this is why it's being done. And why are the Iranian government so keen on this? They keep telling us that the PMI has no support in Iran at all. They're a grouplet. They're not even a group. They're a grouplet in the language of the mullahs. I'll tell you. Because going into month 7 after the stolen presidential election, there is no sign of any lessening of the protests against the mullahs regime, and part of that opposition is by members of the PMOI. That's what this is all about. The mullahs are under siege. It's like a rotten tree. It looks okay, it's standing there, and along comes a strong and sustained wind, and over it goes, because the middle of it is rotten. And that's where the mullahs now are. Make no mistake about this, there is no going back from the deception, the cheating and the lying in which the mullahs engaged after that June so-called presidential election. That simply won't happen. And now I say to Mr. Maliki, use this pause to come to your senses and respect the rights of those refugees in Ashraf. Because I have to tell you, there will be millions around the world, not just in this country, there'll be millions around the world whose sons and brothers and fathers gave their lives in Iraq to give the people of Iraq the chance to build a democracy. And if you repeat the murders and the injuries you inflicted on these refugees in July, again on those people, increasingly they're going to say, is this what all that was about? Is this the best that the fledgling government of Iraq can make of the chance to build democracy? Because if it is, it will shame you. It will shame you as much as it will shame people in that building over there. Yeah, over there. The Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Every nation member of the United Nations has responsibility under international law to give protection and safety to refugees. Those recognized as refugees, you don't have to like them, you don't have to agree with them, they are refugees, they don't want to be there, they want to go home to a free Iran. And that's what the government should be working to encourage the people of Iran to achieve. So the world is watching, and we shall watch, and we are determined that this shall not happen. We also live in Ashraf, because anyone who cares about freedom, who cares about international law, has got to stand alongside those brave people at Ashraf. We're with you, Ashraf. Good luck. Thank you.